Okay, I'm gonna try to finish up the basics of what I expect for this project in this video. Um, I know I hit you with a lot of difficult things at once, but you can rewatch these as much as you want. If you're still stuck, you can uh, email me. You can come to my office hours any day of the week, and we can do it on Google Meet and get this worked out. All right, so I am going to, last time I showed you I'd used a photo that I took and a photo I found on the internet. So I'm gonna show you how to delete a layer. And here's my layers panel. Down at the bottom, there's a trash can. So I showed you last time how to select a layer. I'm gonna select my space battle layer and just hit delete, hit the trash can. Boop. It's gonna say, are you sure? Yes. Now I just have my background and my giant layer. If you don't like the name of background, you can double click on background and this will pop up. Instead of layer 0, you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it inside the house. There's no real rhyme or reason. As long as it makes sense. You should name them and you should give them names that make sense. So now we have 2 layers. We have on the bottom inside the house and the giant layer. Now I'm going to show you mostly finishing touches for this assignment. Down at the bottom, there's a few different icons. We already made a vector mask, a mask right here. And all the mask really is, it's a black and white image. Anything that's black is going to block whatever is in this image for this layer without deleting it. It's just blocking it. And whatever's white is going to show through. So we took our selection that we loaded, and you don't have to do this, I'm just showing you, and we inverted it, and it's selecting everything we don't want to show, and we filled it with black. Now, if the black is on the background like this, when you go to edit and fill, you can always just, instead of foreground color, choose the background color, because that's all that means. This is the foreground, this is the background. And then we made sure the mask was selected and we filled that in with black and it shows. Now, if I deselect everything, select, deselect. If I have the mask selected, if I go to say a paintbrush even, and I choose a white color, I can click on this and drag around a color. If I choose white and I paint in an area that looks black, like over here, whoops. Let's see, where is there? Definitely, okay, there's definitely a photo behind this part that's being masked up. So if I paint white right here, you're going to see the photo through it. That's all the mask is doing. So I'm going to go to Edit, Undo Brush Tool. So that's the mask. And that way we preserve the entire photo. So if we have to make changes, we don't have to start all over again. The mask isn't destroying the pixel information. So if you're working for a boss who changes their mind every 2 seconds, which is when you're working in art and image things, they do have to change their minds a lot. You don't want to have to start from scratch every single time. So anytime you can do things that are non-destructive to the pixel information, the better. Okay, having said that, we're going to add some color and change the color and how intense the color is. And again, if we can do that without actually changing what these pixels actually are doing permanently, even better, because we can always go back and fix it and adjust it. So I'm going to select what's down here. We know what the trash can is. We know that this is the mask. There's the rest we haven't talked about yet. I'm not going to talk about them all today. I will talk about the one that looks like a half moon cookie. So if you hold the mouse over it, it says create a new fill or adjustment layer. So we're going to make what's called an adjustment layer. I'm going to click on it, and there's a whole bunch of choices that probably don't make sense. What I'd like you to choose is, I'm going to show you 2 of them today and let you pick what you like. First, we'll choose color balance. I'm going to choose that. and this property panel pops up. I'm going to move it over, and you can see the color balance is above the other two layers. And there's these color choices here. Now, if I slide this towards red, everything looks more red. If I put it towards cyan, same thing. So now if I make things move towards red and yellow, it warms it up, looks like a fall kind of look. Now what you could do is look and say this is kind of a cold wintry picture, and I want it to look a little more bluish cold. So I might make it a little more cyan and blue. That's it. So you can adjust it, but it's not really changing the pixels. It's doing it to itself. It's a non-destructive method. So what I'm going, that's what an adjustment layer does. I could even close this when I'm done. And if I ever want to work on it again, I have the color balance layer. I can double click on the scale, the balance, and I can do it again. Maybe I just want to, and you can play with all these different settings. But it's doing it to everything that's underneath. So it's doing it to this layer and this layer. If you ever want it to apply to just the layer directly underneath, all you do is click this button right here. Watch what happens. This is going to make it look blue just to directly underneath is just the giant. So if I click this, now I'm still warm and it's got those warm yellows and reds, but this looks bluer. See, I could make it look way bluer. But it's only doing it to the layer just beneath it. So that's an option too. Maybe you want something that only applies to one. I'm going to uncheck this and make it apply to everything. I'm going to, or maybe, yeah. There we go. So I'm going to make everything look a little bluer. Not too much. Yeah, that's good. So it does actually tie it together a little bit more. And now you know how to do another one. The other one I'd like to show you is, I'm going to click on this again. This time I'm going to click on inside the house and make it so it's between the giant and inside the house. No, I won't. I'll put it above color balance. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to choose hue saturation. Now this changes the color of the whole thing. In fact, I'm not going to mess with that. You can also change the lightness and darkness a little, but there's better tools for that. I'm showing you it's there. Colorize is kind of fun. Makes everything within one color. But what I'm going to do here is you can actually make the saturation, the intensity of the colors. You can crank it up, or you can drop it a little. If you drop it, it takes some of the life out of the colors. If you go all the way down, it's a black and white photo. But I'm going to drop the intensity of the colors down just a little. Just to show you what that's for. So now you know how to do an adjustment layer. And I actually showed you specifically color balance and hue saturation. You can play around with more if you want. Curves. You can adjust the light and dark in more dynamic ways by clicking and dragging on the strings. I call it a string. It's not a string. I shouldn't call it a string. Some people like levels. I'll turn off the curves for a minute. You can play with the lightness and darkness by playing with the dark point, the black point, the middle point, and the light point. You can also do all sorts of neat effects like this. So you can use these to put the finishing touches on your image. And I'll have a rubric on the website of what I'll be looking for. I'll be looking for at least one of these adjustment layers. I'll be looking for the mask and the image put in the window. I'll be looking for you to name your layers. I'll be looking for you to make sure your image is saved, and it's saved as a .psd. It's not saved in some funky format. And I'll be looking that you uploaded it with your name at the beginning. For me, it's B, and then my last name, Jared, and then something to identify the project. Otherwise, I don't know whose is whose. And that's about it. All right. Looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Can't wait.